Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Kramer with MRC-TV. Today we're speaking with Heritage Legal Fellow Zach Smith to discuss the Department of Justice suing Georgia over their new election law. Hello Zach, thank you for joining.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So recently in the news, Georgia passed a law to uphold election integrity, even though Democrats, including President Biden, have compared it to Jim Crow.
I'm convinced that we'll be able to stop this because it is the most pernicious thing. This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
Can you explain to us a little bit about the law?
Yeah, so what this law did, it took several common sense steps to help protect the integrity and security of elections in Georgia. And unfortunately, it's many of those same steps that are now being challenged in what appears to be a partisan-driven lawsuit by the Department of Justice. The DOJ is saying that things like prohibiting giving certain things of value to those waiting in line to vote is somehow racist and discriminatory. That extending voter ID requirements to absentee ballots is discriminatory, and requiring voters to request an absentee ballot at least 11 days before Election Day. The DOJ is also alleging that that is discriminatory. And for a lot of reasons, unfortunately, this lawsuit appears to be more about partisan politics than it does about any type of legal claims.
Yes. So you had mentioned that the DOJ under Biden is now suing Georgia. What do you think is going to come of this lawsuit? Do you think that they're actually going to have success?
Well, it's hard to say. This is in the very early stages. There's still an important Supreme Court decision that will come down later this week, Bronovich v. DNC, that could affect some of the claims in this lawsuit. And some of the claims that the DOJ is bringing, like their claim that extending voter ID requirements to absentee ballots, saying that's discriminatory. Well, that claim's already essentially been adjudicated by the courts that would also hear this claim. When Alabama extended their voter ID requirement to absentee ballots, that law was challenged and it was upheld. And so it certainly looks like many of these claims have already been litigated, and even the ones that haven't, seem like a tough lift for the Department of Justice.
Yeah, so a provision requiring voter ID in order to fill out an absentee ballot has obviously been criticized by the left for Georgia specifically, but it's current law in Maryland and Pennsylvania. So I guess my question to you is what Georgia's doing much different than other states?
No, it's really not. And specifically with regards to the voter ID requirement for absentee ballots, Alabama has a similar law in the books. And again, when it was passed, it was challenged and upheld by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. This is the same Court of Appeals that would hear any appeals or challenges to Georgia's lawsuit as well. So that court's already ruled and decided that issue. And I think it's worth mentioning as well what Georgia is doing in terms of prohibiting third-party groups from giving things of value, including water, which, frankly, they shouldn't be doing anyway, because election officials can provide water to people waiting in line to vote. But other states like New York have almost identical laws on the books. So I think the real question we have to ask is the Department of Justice going to sue New York over their voting laws anytime soon? And if not, why not? And unfortunately, I think we know the answer to that question. It's because the Georgia lawsuit is being motivated by partisan politics.
And do you think that that's because Georgia is a Republican stronghold, so they want to really gain momentum there?
Well, again, it's hard to say exactly why, but I think if you look at the background of high-ranking DOJ nominees like Vanita Gupta, like Kristen Clark, they certainly were involved in left-leaning advocacy groups prior to rejoining the Department of Justice. And so, unfortunately, this lawsuit seems to just be a continuation of their prior activist activities.
Well, the leftist media is certainly focusing on all of these states, claiming that this will be the end of democracy if these state election security laws are passed. Why the over-the-top reaction?
Well, again, it's hard to say, because certainly from my perspective, what Georgia has done and what many other states around the country are doing, they're simply taking common sense steps to protect the security and integrity of their elections. And look, this claim that somehow requiring voters to have ID, requiring voters to follow simple common sense procedures in order to vote, even vote by absentee ballot, and saying that minority voters cannot follow these same requirements that everyone else is required to, frankly, that's insulting to
Yeah.
minority voters. And if you look at what's happening around the states, I think more legislators are starting to realize that and are really listening to their constituents and starting to enact common sense protections for their elections.
Now, lastly, for our viewers, what do people really need to remember about these measures?
They're common sense measures designed to protect the safety and security of the elections. And our goal and everyone's goal really should be to make sure that every legally cast ballot is counted and that no illegally cast ballot is counted, regardless of whether you're Republican, a Democrat, independent, or some other political party. This really should be a nonpartisan issue. But unfortunately, as we can see by the DOJ's recent lawsuit, partisan politics are still very much involved in this process.
Unfortunately, they are. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your expertise.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Zach.